In this lesson, we're going to introduce you to Adobe InDesign's workspace and how you can move around and manage your different files. Before you get started, make sure you have Adobe InDesign installed, and this lesson is going to pretend like it's the first time you've opened the document. So if necessary, you may also need to reset all of the preferences for Adobe InDesign. Also, you should have downloaded the files for Lesson 1. Let's get started. I've gone ahead and launched Adobe InDesign. When you do this, you'll be greeted with the welcome screen. In the welcome screen, this gives you the ability to quickly make some preset size documents, to open up any recent documents if you have them recently opened, or to create and open other files. If you don't see your welcome screen, you can always go to the File drop-down menu and either choose to create a new document or open an existing document. Let's click on the Open button and then locate the Lesson 1 folder and locate the 01 Start InDesign file. With it selected, you can click on Open. This will give us an error warning saying there's some issues with the links. Links simply means it's trying to link to or find resources for the file. Since these have been updated and modified, we're going to update the modified links and give it just a moment to render the file. One of the most important habits to get into when working in InDesign is knowing to quickly and often save your work. Since this is already saved as one file, we're going to save it again as a different version. Let's go up to the File drop-down menu and choose Save As. This will allow us to keep our original start document but save it as a different version. I'm going to rename it 01_intro. We're going to keep the format as an InDesign document and click Save. Next, let's scroll through and see the 2 pages of this document. Now by default, I can see this first page nice and big. If I go over to the far right-hand side, my Links panel is opened up and I can click on the little link icon. This will allow me to see my scroll bar that I can click on and drag up and down, and let's drag it all the way to the bottom to see page 2. If your mouse has a scroll wheel or touch-sensitive ability, you can also use it to scroll up and down to see both sides of it. The other parts of the workspace include your toolbar. Toolbar is typically over here on the far left-hand side. Your panels are typically over here on the far right-hand side, and you can see the names of them or their icons. Clicking on the names of them will either activate them or pop them out. Up here at the very top are our drop-down menus. By the way, if I ever ask you to open a panel that you can't find over here on the side, you can always go up to the Window drop-down menu and you can find it here. For instance, if I need to open the Info window, I can click on it and here it is. All panels give you the ability to click on the top portion of their bar and drag them around. You can click and drag and dock them over to the side. This gives you the ability to click on an icon. That saves you a lot of space. Or you can click on the name and drag them out and hit the X to close it down completely. The final thing to note about your workspace is that you can change the configuration of this very quickly and often. If you look at the very top right-hand corner for the word Essentials, by default, the Essentials is the layout of all the essential tools that we typically use. However, if you were working on a document that had more interactive design, you can choose the Interactive for PDF, and this will open up some other layout tools and panels that you can work from. If you're working with typography, it'll give you a different layout as well. For now, I'm going to return it to the Essentials layout. Let's use 2 of the most important tools and panels. The tool we're going to use is the default selection tool. I typically call it the black arrow tool, and it's found at the very top of your toolbox. With this tool, it gives you the ability to click once. Let's click on the little hummingbird head and select that particular frame. With it selected, you can also click and drag and move it around, and you can see that your cursor will also give you some coordinates, some X and Y location. When you let go, that tells you how far, both vertical and horizontal, you've moved your information or whatever you had selected. Now, if you ever want to undo what you've done, you can always go up to Edit and then choose Undo, or hit Command Z or Control Z to back up and do it again. So if I click and drag, you can see how far I've moved it by on the X and Y location. And when I let go, I've moved it. Then I can do Command Z if I'm on a Mac, Control Z if you're on Windows to undo it. The most important panel to have open is your Properties panel. Again, if you don't see it, you can go to your Window drop-down menu, but the Properties panel also gives you your X and Y location and your height and the width of whatever you have selected, as well as some other properties. Just note that whatever you do can always be undone by going to Edit and Undo. Since the Selection tool helps us select objects, if we want to be able to edit text, we need to use the Type tool. The Type tool, if you hover over it on your control panel, will give you the name of it. It'll also give you the keyboard shortcut of it. Notice that it has the T in parentheses. So if you type the letter T on your keyboard, it'll automatically select it. With the Type tool selected, let's go over here to the text that's under the plant hummingbird garden. If you click once inside of a text frame, you'll notice you get a blinking cursor. This is known as your insertion point. This gives you the ability to start typing at that particular point. You can also back up and delete. If you highlight text, you can start typing and it will replace that text from there as well too. So knowing where to highlight and place your text and start typing gives you the ability to edit your text in InDesign. If you do Command Z, at any time it will always undo anything that's been typed or placed inside of there as well. If we want to start creating content like drawing, we can use some of the drawing tools. The easiest one to choose is the Line Segment tool. With this line tool selected, I'll click on it. Anywhere that I click and drag will draw a line, and by default it'll just be a simple black line. Again, check out your Properties panel. Notice that the stroke size is 1 point and the stroke's color is going to be black. Again, if we do Command Z, it will undo creating that, and I can click and drag at any point to draw a line. If you press and hold the H key on your keyboard, notice that it selects the Hand tool, and as long as you're holding down the H key on your keyboard, you can click and drag and be able to move around on your document. Watch what happens when I let go of the H key. It automatically jumps back to using my Line Segment tool, and I can keep drawing lines. Again, I can undo Command Z, and I can undo Command Z to get rid of that one. Now let's play around with how we can view everything on our screen. If necessary, I can go up to View, and I can tell the InDesign to fit my page to my window. This will automatically resize and recenter everything to fill the entire window screen that I'm working on. If I need to be able to see all of the frames that I'm working in, I can also go to View, down to Screen Mode, and let's go to Normal View. When I go to Normal View, this will give me the ability to see things that are outside of my page area, as well as all the different frames that I'm working with and that have content inside of them, all of the picture frames and all of the text frames. When you work in this mode, in normal mode, this gives you the ability to create content outside of your page and on the gray work area beyond the page area. You can see that there's even a little button that's out here that we didn't see previously. I'm going to scroll over here to the left, and I'm going to press the F key to choose my Rectangle Frame tool. With this selected, I can click and drag and create a frame that's fit to put content inside of it. I'm going to undo that by Command Z. If I wanted to make a circular or an elliptical frame, click and hold on your frame tool to get a pop-out of other related tools that are nested inside of it. Anytime you see the little arrow at the bottom left corner, the bottom right corner of a tool, this means there's more tools nested inside of it. So with the ellipse selected, I can click and drag and make an elliptical frame inside of it. And as always, whenever you create something, you can use your black arrow selection tool to click and drag and place it where you want it to be. Press and hold the H key to get your hand and drag it over. To get rid of this, we can either hit the delete key to delete it away, or you can do Command Z to undo everything that you've just done. Also, if you want, you can click and hold on other tools to see what other tools are nested underneath each of the ones in the Tools panel. Some of these are used more often than others, and some of these are used quite frequently.